Joining me now is board-certified practicing family physician and clinical instructor in medicine at Weill Cornell Medical College in New York City, Dr. Jonathan Vitale. Dr. Vitale, thanks for being here.
Hi, Liz. Thanks for having me on the program.
All right, doctor, this is a pretty controversial topic. There's been a lot of talk about it, a lot of articles written about it. Just clarify for us, what happened here? Why the price hike?
That's a really good question, Liz, and it's a question that everybody is asking. I think it really comes down to a few things. One is there's really no generic competition in the market for the EpiPen. There's not a lot of good explanation about that. And also the second reason is that health insurance companies have masked the price for so long, but now that health insurance premiums are so high, now that deductibles are so high, the prices are becoming more transparent when more and more Americans are taken care of under Obamacare. So, and this is the time of year that everybody stocks up on their EpiPen when it's back to school.
Right, time for back to school. Make sure the kids have the EpiPen that they need. Okay, that's very interesting that you said that about generic competition, though. I want to dive right into that. We know that the FDA has not approved, they've denied actually, requests from different pharmaceutical companies to make a generic option for this. Why is that? Why are they denying generic competition?
That's the question that I ask, Liz. If you look at what the FDA is saying, there have been other companies such as Teva, which have come forth with a device, and the FDA has basically said, oh, well, that device isn't as good. It's a little bit more complicated because you have to pull off one other end of the cap. Or there was another device that was on the market that was pulled last year called the AlviQ device. And the FDA said, well, that's not dispensing the appropriate amount of the epinephrine. Interestingly, though, if you look at the data, it's not statistically significant difference from what the actual EpiPen dispenses. So I'm with you, Liz. I don't know why. So this is what people should be outraged about.
Right, and to me, this almost points to the idea, and we know that this happens, so it's not that big of a stretch of the imagination here. It points to me that drug companies are in bed with DC lobbyists and politicians here, and that they blame the free market for this, but it's not truly the free market when government officials, whether it's agency officials at the FDA or whether it's politicians that are elected officials, it's not truly free market if they rig the system.
That's right. It's an unfair game. I mean, if you really want this to be fair, we have to deregulate the FDA and allow there to be more competition in the market. But it's not a fair playing field. And this is what the Senate has asked about, and they've submitted the letters. First of all, they submitted a letter to the FDA last week, I think, asking why isn't there any more competition? And then just recently, yesterday, the Senate Oversight Committee also submitted a letter to Mylan itself and said, why is your price going up so much?
Right, and it's certainly a question worth asking here. It also brings up the question, and I want to ask you this as a provider and someone who's very knowledgeable in this field too. It's about the price of prescription drugs, not just the EpiPen. That's a platform that a lot of Democrats have taken, that the price of prescription drugs should be a regulated thing. Their argument is so that price hikes of this nature, what we saw last year with the malaria and HIV medicine, huge price hike here doesn't happen, but that doesn't seem to be something that would make a lot of sense. That doesn't seem to be something that would drive the price down.
No, it wouldn't. I mean, Democrats usually come at this, they come to flawed governmental regulation and they say, well, let's just do more governmental regulation. But that's not the answer here. The answer here is less government regulation. And with less regulation, that's going to open up the market for more generics. And the generic market is what drives down the prices of pharmaceuticals in America. It's not the brand markets, because there can still be more than one brand medication, and they can still be pretty expensive. We see this in the infertility markets. But here, that would be a really big game changer to have the generics come into play here.
Right, and I think another question that's worth asking, or worth investigating at least, is the fact that after this outcry over the EpiPen has just been within the last couple days, the last week or 2 weeks, very short amount of time, but just within this time, their reaction, this pharmaceutical company's reaction, is to now offer a generic option for the EpiPen here, and strangely enough, that was approved by the FDA almost immediately.
Absolutely. And honestly, that's a little bit bizarre that they immediately came out and they said, okay, now we're going to offer 50% cheaper EpiPen, and which isn't totally bizarre if there were already generics in the market. But what they're essentially doing is dominating the market, competing only against themselves. And you know what, though, Liz? The cost trickles down to the consumers. I mean, they're not reducing the list price for the EpiPen. They're just providing these gimmicky coupons and rebate programs, but the price trickles down to the American taxpayer. And I think it's really important for people to understand that, especially with the skyrocketing cost of healthcare.
Right. It's almost a marketing tactic here. It's making people just bend over themselves with thanks that the price is only tripled instead of 6 times what it was.
Absolutely.
Dr. Vitale, we're out of time, but thank you so much for being here. It's always great to talk to you. Our final tipping point of the night, the violent, racist, murderous atmosphere of inner city downtown Chicago. Oh, and Donald Trump's tweet about it. We'll be right back for that.